dangerous atmospheric pattern may trigger severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, and flash flooding across parts of the United States. This precipitation map shows a light and scattered pattern across much of the United States today, but a few areas stand out where rainfall is stronger. Across the West, light precipitation is appearing in the Pacific Northwest, the Northern Rockies, and the interior West. Most of the central United States remains relatively quiet, with scattered light precipitation in isolated pockets. The Great Lakes and northern Midwest show some light precipitation, especially around the Great Lakes. Farther south, the main concentration is along the Gulf Coast. Heavy precipitation is visible near eastern Texas, Louisiana, and the western Gulf Coast, with the strongest colors indicating heavier rainfall. Houston and coastal communities should watch this zone closely for changing rainfall intensity. Another area of concern is the southeast and Atlantic side. Precipitation extends across the southeast, while heavier bands are visible near the coast and offshore. Some precipitation reaches the mid-Atlantic and northeast, but stronger activity remains near the Atlantic coast. For the next 3 days, the biggest risk is repeated heavy rainfall along the Gulf Coast and the southeast. If rain bands persist, localized flooding could develop locally, especially where rainfall repeats again today. However, this single map cannot confirm a 3-day flood event. Overall, watch the Gulf Coast and Southeast most closely, while much of the interior United States sees lighter and more scattered precipitation today. A major wind pattern is developing across the United States, and this map shows exactly where winds are strongest today. Stay with us, because the biggest wind concern is not everywhere. It is concentrated in a few important regions. Across the western United States, wind speeds are generally stronger than across the Central Plains. Salt Lake City is showing around 26, while Seattle is near 15. Southern California is much calmer, with Los Angeles around 7. This creates a noticeable contrast between stronger winds across parts of the interior West and lighter winds farther south. Moving into the central United States, winds are mostly moderate to light. Minneapolis is around 7, Chicago near 9, and Dallas close to 11. Houston is somewhat windier at about 18. These values indicate that widespread extreme winds are not covering the central part of the country on this map. Farther east, wind speeds increase in some locations. Washington is near 16, while New York is around 19. Tampa is also relatively breezy at about 21. The strongest areas shown are around the interior West and parts of Florida. For the next 3 days, the key wind concern is the possibility of stronger winds developing if the current pattern shifts or strengthens. However, this single wind map cannot confirm a major windstorm 3 days ahead. Right now, there is no clear nationwide extreme wind signal. The main areas to monitor are the interior West, Gulf Coast, and Florida, where stronger winds are already visible. Across the United States today, pay close attention to this temperature map right now, because the heat pattern is not evenly spread across the country. The feature is the intense warmth across the southern states, especially Texas and the Gulf Coast. Dallas is around 35 degrees Celsius or 95 degrees Fahrenheit, while Houston is near 33 degrees Celsius or 91 degrees Fahrenheit. Temperatures are very warm across the southeast, with Atlanta near 28 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and Tampa around 34 degrees Celsius or 93 degrees Fahrenheit. Southern California is warm, with Los Angeles near 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Moving north, the heat becomes more moderate. Chicago is around 23 degrees Celsius or 73 degrees Fahrenheit, while Minneapolis is near 21 degrees Celsius or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Seattle is cooler at about 16 degrees Celsius or 61 degrees Fahrenheit. Along the northeast, temperatures remain relatively mild, with Washington near 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit, and New York around 26 degrees Celsius or 79 degrees Fahrenheit. So the strongest temperature concern today for many people is concentrated across Texas, the Gulf Coast, Florida, and parts of the Southeast. The combination of temperatures in the 90s Fahrenheit across southern areas can create dangerous heat stress, especially during the afternoon. Looking toward the next 3 days, the key temperature risk is continued heat if these southern temperatures remain elevated today. Residents should watch for signs of excessive heat and limit prolonged exposure during the hottest part of the day. The biggest message from this map is simple. Southern heat is the main temperature story, while cooler conditions dominate much of the northern United States. Pay close attention to this humidity map because the moisture pattern across the United States is very different from region to region today. The numbers marked DP represent dew points, which are a useful way to understand how much moisture is present in the air. The driest air on this map is concentrated across the interior west. Salt Lake City is around 9 degrees Fahrenheit dew point, while Seattle is near 14 degrees Fahrenheit. These low values indicate relatively dry air, meaning the atmosphere contains much less moisture compared with the eastern and southern parts of the country. Moving toward the central United States, moisture gradually increases. Minneapolis is around 13 degrees Fahrenheit, while Chicago is near 17 degrees Fahrenheit. Farther south, Dallas and Houston are both around 24 degrees Fahrenheit, showing noticeably more moisture in the air. The highest moisture levels shown across the United States are concentrated toward the southeast and east coast. Atlanta is around 22 degrees Fahrenheit, Washington is near 21 degrees Fahrenheit, New York is about 22 degrees Fahrenheit, and Tampa reaches approximately 25 degrees Fahrenheit. These higher dew points indicate a more moisture-rich atmosphere. For the next 3 days, the main humidity concern is continued moisture across the south, southeast, and Gulf Coast. If dew points remain elevated, outdoor conditions can feel more humid and uncomfortable, especially when temperatures are also high. However, this map alone cannot confirm a dangerous humidity event 3 days ahead. Overall, the driest conditions are across the west, while the south, southeast, and Gulf Coast contain the greatest amount of atmospheric moisture today. Take a close look at this pressure map, because one pressure center is standing out across the United States today, and it helps explain where the atmosphere is relatively stable and where pressure is lower. A broad high-pressure area, marked H1022, is centered over the central United States and extends toward the Midwest and parts of the East. Around Minneapolis and Chicago, pressure is near 1021, while Salt Lake City is around 1015. Dallas is near 1018, and Houston is around 1017. These readings show a stronger pressure pattern across much of the central and eastern country. Farther east, pressure remains fairly steady, with Atlanta near 1017, Washington around 1017, New York near 1017, and Tampa around 1018. The highest pressure is therefore concentrated around the central portion of the map, with the pattern gradually weakening toward the edges. The main pressure contrast appears in the southwest. A low-pressure center, marked L1008, is positioned near Southern California, while Los Angeles is around 1012 and Seattle is near 1019. This lower pressure area is the most important feature to watch on the western side of the map. For the next 3 days, this pressure pattern could shift, but this map alone does not confirm a major dangerous pressure event. The key message is to watch the high pressure over the center and the lower pressure near Southern California, because any strengthening, weakening, or movement could change the pressure setup across the country.